Hey fam, we touched on, and shout out to Harvey Dent. Hey Harvey, I see you, and I see some of the fam has found you, so there's no escape for you. Shout out to Mia, shout out to Terry, shout out to, wait, hold on, I can't be forgetting all my, you guys know I have short-term memory loss, so that's not cool, but I do have short-term memory loss. Hold up. Mia, Terry, I got my J Green, Isis, Queen Isis. Okay, so those are my other girls, and J Hall. I don't want to forget all my girls. I love you, girls. Back to Harvey. Harvey, we love you. We're not gonna let you go. You're showing us so many things because, like I said, when we come onto YouTube, this right here is such a barrier. And then being a woman on top of that, we're easy targets. We get told all kinds of stuff. We're not treated very, respectfully. And so we have to kind of fight back. And it's not very ladylike the way we have to fight at all. And you don't want to get Jay Green mad. Jay Green is savage. I'm telling you. So, and Courtney is too. Courtney and Jay Green, you better believe I stalked those girls down. When I decided to go with this channel, I made sure to call on those two. Like, come here. So they know their facts. And they know exactly what to say and how to do it and get their point across. That being said, we can't wait for your channel to come up because we feel that you're going to do nothing but contribute even more knowledge, and we don't want anything as far as historical to disappear. So that being said, I wanted to keep going. It's only 8:23 here in California, but I wanted to refresh my memory about 10 facts you should know about Martin Luther King Jr. Doctor. They didn't write doctor in here, but I know he's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He's one of the most important figures in the American civil rights movement. None other than a social activist and humanitarian, Martin Luther King Jr., a Baptist minister inspired by other advocates of nonviolence, King encouraged oppressed and socially disadvantaged African Americans to fight for equality through peaceful protest. Although he was assassinated in April of 1968, King helped to end legal segregation, a key driving force behind the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. In remembrance of King himself, here are 10 facts you should know. King's birth name was Michael. The civil rights activist was born Michael King Jr. on January 15, 1929. How weird is that? That was only 6 days ago. I wish I had known that, because Aaliyah was the 16th. To parents Michael King Sr. and Alberta Williams King. His father, a minister at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, visited Germany in 1934, where he became inspired by the Protestant Reformation leader Martin Luther. King Sr. began calling himself, and later his son, Martin Luther King. And there's a really cool picture of him right here. Let me see if it'll go. My phone does not like me. Technology does not like me. You guys know this. That this is very nice. Look at this. Is that beautiful? That's over there, isn't that the Capitol? I'm a sucker for pictures. I really am. And that says American clergyman and reformer at the March on Washington, August 28, 1963. He was the youngest person at the time to receive a Nobel Peace Prize. When Martin Luther King Jr. received a Nobel Peace Prize for combating racial inequality through nonviolence, he was just 35 years old, the youngest man at the time to do so. His prize included a check for $54,123, which he donated to various organizations. The American Foundation of Nonviolence, Congress on Racial Equality, which is CORE, the acronym for CORE, NAACP, the National Council of Negro Women, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, to aid in the progress of the civil rights movement. From 1957 to 1968, King traveled over 6 million miles and spoke over 2,500 times. That must have been tiresome. Maybe not for him, though. Maybe he just had this fire. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference, an organization formed to aid the growing civil rights movement, elected King as its president in 1957. He led the group from its inception until he was murdered in 1968. Founded on Christian values, SCLC sought to advance the cause of the civil rights movement, but in a peaceful way. Inspired by the teachings of Gandhi, I'm going to try not to break down. I'm going to be all right. King operated on Christian principles without violence. He traveled across the nation, visiting cities for speeches and protests. During these 11 years, King also wrote 5 books and published several articles. The civil rights leader was arrested 29 times, which is ridiculous, and assaulted 4 times, which is even worse. Although King was admired by many, he was seen as a threat to American security by police officials. He went to jail nearly 30 times, arrested for acts of civil disobedience, including the time he was jailed in Montgomery, Alabama in 1956. Well, no wonder everybody's like so scared to go to the South. For driving 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. That's insane. Even the FBI had concerns. Paper trails show that the agency had... Oh, this is such a cute picture. Agency had continued efforts to thwart King's progress. After his I Have a Dream speech in 1963, the FBI intensified their investigation into King and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Okay, so we have to... This is the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. is welcomed with a kiss by his wife, Coretta, after leaving court in Montgomery. And you know we have to show her because wives don't ever get a break. I'll tell you that. Look at the happy. Look at... Oh... That's not easy. You're fearful, and he's a target, and golly. Okay, hold on. After his I Have a Dream speech, and everybody should know that speech. Everybody. So I hope they're still teaching that in schools. The FBI intensified their investigation into King and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Why would they even... Christian Leadership Conference? King is the only non-president to have a national holiday in his name. That's an honor. In 1983, President Ronald Reagan signed a bill that would establish a nationally observed holiday in remembrance of King. He is the only non-president to have received such an honor. The only other American to have a holiday commemorated in his name is George Washington. The holiday was first celebrated in 1986 on the 3rd Monday in January, close to MLK's birthday on January 15th. He is also the only non-president with a memorial located on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. King was awarded 20 honorary degrees and was named Man of the Year by Time magazine. During his lifetime, he received 20 honorary degrees from colleges and universities across the U.S. and around the world. In 1963, he became the first African American to be named Time magazine's Man of the Year. The tribute included a photograph on the cover, plus a 7-page article including several photos of the most memorable moments of his career, such as meeting with President Lyndon B. Johnson and his photos. They wanted a photo of his 1963 arrest in Alabama? Golly. There are approximately 900 streets named after Martin Luther King in the U.S. According to Derek Alderman, head of the Geography Department of the University of Tennessee, there are 900 streets named after King in the U.S. After his assassination in '68, cities across the nation began naming and renaming streets in his honor. Even countries such as Italy and Israel followed suit. The number of streets increases every year, with 70% in southern states: Alabama, Texas, Florida, Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana, and North Carolina. King was nearly assassinated 10 years before his death. On September 20th, 1958, King was in Harlem signing copies of his new book, Stride Toward Freedom. At a local department store, Bloomstein's, a woman named Izola Ware Curry approached him, asking if he was Martin Luther King. When he replied yes, she said, "I've been looking for you for 5 years," and stuck a letter opener into his chest. Oh my. The blade came close to penetrating his heart, nestled just along the side of his aorta. After several hours of surgery, King emerged alive. Doctors later told him that just one sneeze could have punctured the aorta and killed him. I did not know that. King later issued a statement that he felt he didn't feel any anger or ill will toward this woman. I'll tell you what, if I was his wife, there would have been a burial. His mother was also murdered by a gunman. We'll see how much I can read of this, you guys, because if I start breaking down, you guys are not going to watch me cry through this, okay? His mother was also murdered by a gunman. On June 30th, 1974, Alberta Williams King was shot by a maniacal gunman who claimed that Christians were his enemy and that he received divine instructions to kill King's father. However, because Alberta, who played the organ on Sundays at Ebenezer Baptist Church, was closer to the assailant, he opted to shoot her instead. The man was convicted, receiving the death penalty sentence, which was later changed to life in prison, partly because King's family did not believe in capital punishment. King's last public speech foreshadowed his death. On the night before his assassination, MLK came to Memphis to give a speech in support of the I'm like shaking right now. Came to Memphis to give a speech in support of the city's African American garbage workers at Mason Temple Church. He told the crowd, "Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land." Okay, I'm going to show you this picture because, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. I'll probably break down. Come on. It's a nice picture. But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. I got through it. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's important to remember important figures of history, especially somebody. You know, maybe Harvey can answer me this. When I was in school, we called him Dr. Martin Luther King. So, why is it not on here? I guess I could Google it, but... See, it says right here, "The time is always right to do what is right. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr." I'm still going to put that. That's how I'll label it. Alright, you guys. Love you. See you guys soon.